One of my favorite insights about sales or things to really internalize, we're talking about pricing now.
Okay.
And pricing is kind of the part of selling that tends to freak people out a little bit. It's like, well, how do I know, this thing didn't come with a price tag. Like, how do I figure out what price to put on it? And a good way of starting here is internalizing the truth, and it's a little bit counterintuitive.
All right.
It's all prices are ultimately arbitrary. You can set them to be anything you want. Okay? You can, we talked about picking up a rock outside earlier and trying to sell it. Okay?
Right.
So hypothetically, we could walk out, pick up a rock, and we could set a price of $350 million on that rock. We could do it. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. Okay? And nobody, there's no like big pricing authority that will come down and say, you can't do that because rocks aren't worth that much.
Okay.
You could do it.
All right.
That doesn't mean that somebody will actually buy it from you.
Right.
For $350 million. But you can. And this principle is what I call the pricing uncertainty principle. Prices can be set to anything at any time and can change at any moment without limitation.
Okay.
Set any price on anything you want.
Okay.
Now, as I said, that doesn't mean that someone will take you up on that.
Right.
Unless your offer is worth, has economic value in proportion to your asking price. So if the rock that you place a $350 million price tag on is the Hope Diamond, which is currently owned by the Smithsonian Institution, someone may be willing to pay that.
Very true.
Still a rock, still $350 million, but you may actually get a buyer for that. Okay? So you always have to, you can set any price you want, but the pricing uncertainty principle has a corollary.
Okay.
And that is, you must always support the price that you put on whatever you're pricing.
Okay.
Which means giving a reason why that particular price is worth the value that you're providing.
Sure.
Offer, okay? If you can't do that, you can set a price to be anything you want, but that doesn't mean that somebody will pay attention to it.
Okay.
Now, a good example of just how quickly prices can change, like it's a good proof of the pricing uncertainty principle. Think about an auction.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so prices are changing based on who wants it and who's willing to pay for it. It's like, I'm willing to pay more, and no, I'm willing to, and it kind of ladders up.
That's true.
The auctions wouldn't exist if there was some big central pricing authority saying, this is worth this. That doesn't exist. But particularly for things where you're not quite sure what the price is.
Very true.
The price is ultimately however much somebody's willing to pay for it.
Absolutely.
And so auctions are a good example of just how indeterminate prices are. And by letting people bid against each other, you can actually figure out what the market price of something might be.
So it seems like the sweet spot would be the highest price that the most people are willing to pay.
Yes, exactly. So remember, as you're starting pricing something, and we'll actually talk about in the next model some ways of supporting the prices that you put on things. But always remember that prices are ultimately arbitrary. They can be anything that you want them to be as long as you can support it.
Okay.